So this is my favorite analog film camera. It's the Canon EOS 35V, or as it's called other places in the world, the Elan 7N. You might be confused about this one. There's also another one called the Canon EOS 30V, and that one is called the Elan 7NE, other places in the world. But that one is basically the same one as this, exact same features, but that one also have this kind of eye focus point control, where you can control the focus point with your eye. I don't care about that feature. I already tried it. I'm not that big a fan of it, and those cameras cost more, and I don't use that feature. I think it's a little bit of a gimmick. So this one is cheaper. I would recommend this one. The cool thing about this camera, you can see it looks pretty modern. It almost looks like a, I don't know what, 5D Mark III or something. I don't know. That's because this camera is from 2004. Is it the last Canon 35mm camera they made, or I'm not sure, but at least it's one of the last ones. You know, at the same time they were making this one, they also made other cameras, but digital cameras. They made, for example, the 1D Mark II, which is like the second full frame camera they made. So digital full frame camera. So this come out at a pretty late time, but yeah, you can still find them. I often see them sold locally here where I live for not that much. It has a lot of kind of advanced features that you expect from the last of the last digital cameras. Like it has like 4 frames per second. It has 1/4000 shutter speed. It's also pretty convenient with batteries. It's take these what are they called, the CR 1023A batteries. So it's pretty easy to use. I think a lot of the things I like about it a lot is that it's like an in-between regarding features and size. You can get some that have better features but they're bigger, or you can get some that are smaller but with less features. I think this is kind of like the perfect in-between. It's not like the most sexy camera. You can, for example, the Contax cameras I also showed on this camera channel, they're way more sexy, I think, but it's a very functional camera, and yeah, I also think it's actually better looking than a lot of the other cameras from this time, because they had this kind of there's this thing on the surface. The other cameras from that time had this kind of very shiny surface, which don't look that great today. I think the downside of this camera is that it's something Canon always do. They kind of, a lot of the features we often need are only in the Pro models. So you have to buy those ones. It's like they kind of force everybody to buy the top of the top. This is was a pretty expensive camera. It's like a pro amateur camera, but for example, the viewfinder is bigger than on the more like the consumer models, but it's not as big compared to the really professional ones like the Canon EOS 1, the Canon EOS 3. Those ones are really good viewfinders for analog film. It's not a big problem in the daytime. This one is great for just like daytime use, even maybe a little bit indoor. But if it's completely dark in the night, you take a picture, this viewfinder, it's going to be really hard to see if the images are in focus, and it's a big disadvantage for me, maybe not for you. But on the other hand, I also tried the Canon EF 3, which has a very good viewfinder. But that camera is so heavy, so that's the downside of Canon. They kind of force you to pick between these things. Then I also think the autofocus, I wish it was a little bit quicker. I am more like, I looked at the time this camera was made, and I thought this is probably have really good autofocus because it's made in 2004 and it's a pro camera. But it is good, but it's not good as you would expect in a more modern DSLR. You will have some focus that is, if you're just taking photos of not moving things, it's great. If they're moving and you're using this, what is it called? AI servo mode, then it might be in focus, the moving subject, or it might not. I have I've tried to use it, and it's a little bit hit and miss. And that sucks if you are taking a good photo and you realize it was not in focus. And then it's not really a downside, but on this sticky stuff here where you're holding the camera, I think it's also, yeah, it's kind of here also and here. It's like here and here. It's like it's very sticky. If you buy the camera, it will often be very sticky, but you just apply this, what is it called? Talcum, it's called here where I live. This white powder you put on, and you just apply it, let it stay for a little bit, get it off, and then reapply if it's still sticky. That get rid of the problem pretty quick. So not a big problem, but then I also want to mention some of the advantages of using these Canon EOS cameras for analog film, just in general, because I really think this is really some of the most underrated analog film cameras. I know for people who shoot film, they often want these old cameras from the 70s, very manual cameras. I kind of disagree. I think these cameras are probably my favorite, and here's why. I think first of all, this is very stable cameras, very functional cameras. They are, I think I own maybe 15 of them, different Canon EOS film cameras. You can buy them so cheap, so I often just pick them up at flea markets. Like I mentioned, this Canon EOS 300. It's like I think probably I paid 10 euros, 15 euros, something like that. And that was even including like a zoom kit lens. So that's pretty cheap. But among all those Canon EOS film cameras I owned, I don't think a single one had a problem. And that's not something I can say about all the other analog film cameras I owned. It's like they just have so many problems, you know, like the old school Canon EOS, what's it called, the FD SLR cameras. All of the ones I own, they all had so many problems. The Canon, the Contax Yashica SLR cameras I also covered on this YouTube channel before. I think half of the ones I owned had some big problems. And so on and so on. These ones, they just work, you know, and isn't that great? You know, you can just use something reliable. People always say, oh, this is like an electronic camera, it can die anytime. It's so scary, you know. Yes, if it dies, you're probably fucked, right? But so far, so so good. Then I also want to talk about the lenses here. I think that's really one of the big selling points for these cameras. They are very sharp, they are very modern. Yes, some of them are not being produced anymore, but some of them are even still being produced right now. And it's like, can you say that about a lot of the other film camera systems people use? You can just buy these new lenses that are so sharp compared to other alternatives. And yes, sharpness, I think it doesn't matter, you know. I do also think it adds something when it's analog film that is sharp. It almost can look like a bit like medium format analog film, because with these lenses, in a good way. And then also they have some good features. For example, this one here. This is the. Can I get the? Where is it here? For example, this one is the. This one is the 35 IS USM lens. It has image stabilization. Oh, it also 2.0 f2.0. It has image stabilization, so you can shoot it in low light, you know, just like a modern mirrorless camera or something, whatever. I think this is a great lens for just like, doing a lot of things. I love it. I love these ones together. Probably my favorite combination. It's a little bit big, and of course not the cheapest one of them. It's not that expensive either, but and then of course this one, everybody knows this one. It's a nifty 50. maybe if you haven't used it that much, you just think, oh, it's just like a cheap plastic lens. But if you go to like DxO Mark, look at the lens charts, it's actually one of the sharpest Canon EF lenses. I like it. So yeah, it's small and it's compact, and yeah, I like it. Of course, you can get some better 50 millimeters and those kind of things, but this is just so cheap, you know, it's insanely cheap. And this, people are probably gonna laugh at me, but I kind of like these kit zooms from Canon from the 90s or 2000. This is just like the 28 to 80. It has a variable aperture. It's 3.5 to 5.6, and this is the second model. You can see there's also a third one, I think. It's a great zoom just for like walk around travel photography, and I think especially on something like the cheaper ones, the smaller ones, this is a really good combination. And like I mentioned, I think I got these together for 10-15 euros or something like that. Not sure why it's not focusing, but yeah. And then there's also some honorable mention. I also owned a lot of other different lenses, EF lenses throughout the years. For example, there's a EF 33V f2L USM lens. It's like the legendary Canon telephoto lens. I think I owned it 3 times throughout my photo life. Owned it and sold it, and there's also an EF 28 f2.8 IS USM, so it's also image stabilization. I think it's a little bit smaller than this one, the 35 millimeter, but it also has image stabilization, not as quick aperture, but I think also a very good lens. And then there's also a 35 millimeter 2.0 without image stabilization, which is the older one. It's a lot smaller, so that's also maybe something to consider if you are more like do walk around travel photography. And then there's also the 24 to 70 f4 USM L IS lens, which is more like a professional zoom lens. It's a lot bigger, it's a lot heavier, but it's very good for like landscape photography. You can just shoot handheld with a zoom, right, and have image stabilization. Yeah, I think that's my recommendations for lenses. I'm a little bit sick, so I'm sorry for the rough voice here. But I think that the lenses are really something that really makes this camera system great and something worth considering. And then there's also the autofocus with this camera and these lenses. The autofocus is pretty good. I think you normally say that the Canon EF system back in the day, in the analog film days, had the best autofocus, and actually Nikon, they were kind of, before that Nikon were the king of cameras, right? But then when the autofocus came, they actually start to fall a little bit behind Canon. So I think that's also one of the reasons why I had to go for this Canon EF system compared to the Nikon F system, in my opinion, because I think autofocus is important. You know, it's like the classic thing when you get your first old school analog film camera. You take a lot of photos, you think they're going to be so great, you get them back and they are either underexposed, overexposed, all those problems, right? Light leaks, and and then they are also they're not in focus, which people, they try to be like, oh, it's actually pretty cool, it's not in focus. No, it's not very cool. Sorry to say, it's not that cool. I think photos should be in focus. And with this camera, or with some of the other cameras, and with these great lenses here, the photos will be in focus. Especially with this one, autofocus is really good. Like I mentioned, in the nighttime, completely dark or something, it can be a little bit hard to see if the autofocus worked or not. So you have to a little bit guess, or did it do the job or not, because the viewfinder is a little bit dark. On these ones, it's a little bit more hit and miss. You can see the framing and stuff through the viewfinder, but it's a little bit hard to see if the autofocus worked or not, even in the daytime. So yeah, but I think autofocus, super underrated for analog film photography. And then another feature is that some of these great lenses here. You can actually share them with your modern mirrorless camera if you have like a Canon mirrorless camera system, like the Canon, yeah, the what do you call the R cameras, RF mount. You can use this adapter, the EF2R adapter, and then you can actually use the same lenses on your analog film camera and your modern digital camera, which can save you some money, maybe. I don't know. I think it's a cool feature. You can kind of share a little bit of lenses. But let's go back to the camera we're talking about. I keep talking about lenses instead of the camera I'm trying to review. This is also more like a general Canon EOS video, because I think actually the entire camera system is really great, and this is just probably my favorite one, but there's so many other great ones out there. If you're gonna pick which model to pick, I think you should look at this Wikipedia page. It's kind of removed now from the Canon 35mm pages, but if you search for it on Google, you can actually find it's called Template Canon EOS Film Cameras. Then there's this chart where you can see all the different Canon EOS 35mm models, and they kind of lined up. And in the top you can see there's like the one models, one in, one V. One V is supposed to be like the best of the best, right? And then below that you have, if you ignore the orange line there, then you have the 3 model, for example. That one is also supposed to be very good. It's basically close to the 1V, people say, but yeah. I think some people said it had even bigger viewfinder, but then the autofocus was not as great, or something like that. Pretty close to the 1V. And then you can see below that there's actually a pretty big step down from those. Then you have the more like the pro amateur camera, prosumer camera, which is this one. And that's the 30V or the 33V. Those cameras are basically the same, like I mentioned. I think that's a good place to get into. There's also the model before that, the 50. For example, I think heard some people say it had bigger viewfinder. I'm not sure if it's true. I haven't tried it. I leave it doubted, but. And then, like I mentioned, there's also the models below that, which is, for example, the 300. Personally, I just like the 300, not the 300V or the 300X, because those ones have very big grip and stuff. They are a lot more bulky. I actually like this one because it's like very flat and lightweight. So, and I don't care so much if it has a shorter speed, those kind of things. The problem with these kind of cameras, there's also the models below that. They're called 3000, 5000, 3000V and so on. I think those models are a little bit too low. You shouldn't go into those. Price-wise, it's going to be the same as something like the 300. The problem with these 300 models is that viewfinder is very dark. Yes, you can use it in the daytime, and you could probably even use it in the nighttime if you are going to guess a little bit. Autofocus is fine for not moving subjects, but yeah, but not that great either. It's quite a lot behind this 35V model, but fine for just like walk around photos if you're doing touristy stuff or something. But there are some downsides, like for example, sometimes the settings kind of reset, like you set up the focus points or something, and then you suddenly turn on the camera after a day or something, then everything is reset. There's some annoying things, but they are so cheap, these cameras, that you cannot really complain. So for me, it's more like, which one do you pick? There's basically something for everybody. If you don't know, then this is more like the in-between camera. Get this one. If you already know you're only going to use it as something like walk-around camera, then just get the cheapest, the cheap ones. If you know you're going to be very professional with it, then get the EOS 3 or the 1V. And then there's also like this last option here, which is for people who prefer manual focus, or maybe you like analog, what I call autofocus, but you also like manual focus. Then this one is like the Canon EOS 1000, but it just have a split prism, and you can only use manual focus. and then you can see it has all the dials for selecting the different things, shutters and aperture. So, but you use your Canon EF lenses, and you can also use a lot of different adapters. You can see here I have, this is for Contax Yashica lens that you can mount on the EF mount. But again, I wouldn't recommend it on an autofocus camera, but a split prism camera you can actually do it. This is a M45 if you want to mount something like the old Helios lens or something, and then another Contax adapter here. And then this is more like the Mamiya medium format M65. So you can actually basically use this as for all your different lenses if you want to, because the flange distance is pretty short, so you can actually mount a lot of different vintage glass on this also. So that's basically it. This is my favorite one, but there are many great ones, and like I mentioned, this is not really a video just to promote this one. I basically think they are all of the ones I owned I enjoyed in some kind of way. It's just like, which needs do you have, or what things do you prioritize? Tell me what you think about the Canon EF and EOS cameras. Are they super underrated, or what do you think? Or do you prefer the more like the old school analog film cameras? Leave a comment, and take care.